Welcome to the Homeschool High School podcast, brought to you by Seven Sisters Homeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. I'm Vicki, and I am so excited because we have a new podcaster in the network. And she's young and she's getting started homeschooling and sharing the joy of homeschooling with new homeschool moms. So, welcome to Morgan from the Homeschool Curious podcast, and she's going to tell us about the podcast and the BaseCampEd app, which you guys want to know about. But first, Morgan, say hi to everybody and tell us a little bit about your homeschool journey.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's nice to officially meet you. Yeah. And we just recorded for the Homeschool Curious, and it's already out. So if you're listening to this episode, Vicki and I's are already out. So go listen to it on the Homeschool Curious podcast. But yes, my name's Morgan, and I am due. I'm very pregnant in 9 days with my fourth boy. So we're about to have 4 boys, and my oldest is 5. So we literally just started homeschooling. I'm an expert. If you have any questions, ask me. I'm just kidding. I'm learning as I go. But I was what you would call a homeschool curious mom for a few years. And as I started to have more and more boys and learn about traditional school and them sitting behind a desk and leaving me for hours a day, I started to just kind of feel like that wasn't the right fit for me and my family. And so a couple years ago, I became homeschool curious. My husband and I had never homeschooled. We went to traditional schools growing up. So yeah, that was kind of what prompted the idea. I also was a full-time working mom. And when I had 2 boys and pregnant with my third, it kind of hit me like they're all very young. I would be paying to put all 3 of my boys in daycare to go to work. And so that I was like, something needed to change. And so that was kind of what prompted the idea of maybe stopping working, staying home with the boys. So it was a very big transition because I always thought I would work full time. I loved my job. I was climbing that corporate ladder for about 13 years.
So that was a big transition. But you know what? We are wise when we go with what our heart is telling us to do. So I know what it's like to have 4 sons. I had 5 kids and 4 of them were sons.
Where's the girl in your family?
In the middle, and she always ran the show.
I bet. My husband's like, let's just keep going till we get the girl. And I'm like, no, because we're going to have like 7 boys. I'm not doing this.
But the crazy thing is when they all hit adolescence and the grocery bill goes insane. But it's worth it. It's totally
I'm
worth
already feeling that with like the amount of berries that they like there. And I love that they want to eat healthy, but man, I'm already feeling that. And they're like not even big. I'm like, how are we going to afford this?
Well, welcome to the new one when the new one comes in a few days. That's
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to know how you got connected with Felice at the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network, and what brought about the Homeschool Curious podcast, because it's a need. Our community needs people who are already a little bit into the homeschooling world and want to help the curious folks think about homeschooling, be introduced to it. So how did this come about?
I never thought I would be a podcaster. That was not what I was trying to do. I went on Melanie Wilson's Homeschool Sanity podcast about a year ago. And this was when I was just starting BaseCampEd. So I am a founder of a homeschooling app. And she loved the idea. She was an early supporter. And her and I just like connected right off the bat. I mean, you know Melanie. She's like
Melanie.
So awesome. To talk to.
Yeah, Homeschool Sanity podcast. Awesome. Yes.
Yeah. So I went on there and we literally chatted about BaseCampEd for like 20 minutes. And then after we recorded, we sat on her, like, we just sat and talked for like 2 hours. And she basically convinced me to meet Felice. And so then I met Felice, and Felice basically named my podcast for me, because I told her, I was like, I was a homeschool curious mom. And she's like, I've never heard that term before. That's going to be the name of your podcast. And I was like, oh, I like it. I was just calling myself that because, I am homeschool curious. My oldest is only 5, right? We're not really fully homeschooling right now. He's like technically kindergarten, but we're just having fun and staying home.
Absolutely.
And,
yes.
Living life. But
that's only homeschooling. That's like all of life is education. Yes.
Yeah.
So Felice got you, and it's Melanie's fault, but Felice roped you into Homeschool Curious podcast. But it is a need our community has. There are so many young parents who are starting
and
to
have
think
no
about
idea.
homeschooling. Yes.
Like, even for me, I mean, when I first started doing research about homeschool, I had, because I was a full-time working mom, I'm like, how do moms do this? And it truly is, right now, while my kids are little, it is hard to work and homeschool. But as they get older, you really can still work and homeschool your kids. And that was like what I want to tell moms. You don't have to give up everything and drop everything. There's so many different options, especially for working moms. I didn't even know until I did research about drop-off co-ops or hybrid schools, or it's not all or nothing. And so that was like really what attracted me to homeschooling, was it's so flexible for whatever stage a family is in.
And I'm a testimony to that, because I've been a counselor for all these years, as I homeschooled my kids. So it paid the homeschool bills. That's a blessing. So
yeah.
All right. So you jumped into homeschooling and were already sharing with the homeschool community through an app you've developed. So tell us about BaseCampEd and kind of walk us through what it is and how it works and how it can be a blessing to folks.
So the night, I will never forget this night. It was the day that I became homeschool curious. I had 2 boys. I was pregnant with our third. And I went to my parents and I said, what do you think about like me maybe going part-time or stopping working and homeschooling the boys? And I thought I would get a lot of pushback because, like I mentioned, I grew up going to traditional school. Both my mom and dad still work, my mom dropped us off at school and worked 10 hours a day, just like my dad did. And so I thought I'd get pushback, but literally that night, my dad told me a story about, it was like right after COVID, like kind of during, and we're from California, which as you know, might not be like the best state to be living in during COVID. And my dad goes, do you remember so-and-so? And it's like a very old family friend of ours. And he goes, well, they, during COVID, just decided to leave California. They moved to a rural part of Maui in Hawaii. And they basically started their own mini co-op with, all the parents were working, and they basically switched off like every day with a different family. And so there were 4 other families, and they were only responsible for homeschooling the kids 1 day a week. And then they trusted these other 4 families that their kids would go to their houses in Maui. And I'm like, it literally, my husband and I hit us in bed. Like, how do you find that? Like, all I need is like 4 or 5 really good moms that I trust. And let's just do it together. If all of the moms work full-time or part-time, or maybe you're a nurse and you work at night, so you're home during the day, like, how can we make that work where we do it together? And how do you find people like that? So that really is like what hit us, that we need to, I basically had this vision in my head. I need like a Zillow where I like pull up a map of my area, find homeschool families in my area, and connect one-on-one. And another complicated piece of our life is that we move every 2 years for my husband's job. So that's one of the big reasons why I want to homeschool, is I don't want to ask my boys to be the new kid at school every 2 years. But it's also hard to find homeschool community that fast, get really close to them, trust them with my kids, and then move in a year. Like, it's really hard. But yeah, so that's kind of like where the BaseCampEd vision came to life, was finding people to homeschool together with.
And so it really is an app where you go on And I've been on there playing around and loading information about Seven Sisters Homeschool on there because we want to be findable to new
Yeah. Yeah.
homeschoolers. And you put your location in, and you can find the other homeschool activities in your area. It is the coolest thing. So,
Thank you.
all right,
And for
walk us
safety,
through.
you only put your zip code. It's not like geolocating like your location.
Oh,
It
good.
truly is
Yeah,
based off of a zip code because I do
yes.
not like apps that track my location.
No.
And the other purpose of that is for parents like me. I'm about to move actually in a
Mhm.
month.
Uh-huh.
And so I can technically change my profile to the zip code that we're moving to and start connecting with moms today,
Yeah,
even though I'm not technically there yet. And I say moms,
I love
it's
that.
dads too, but
Yes.
95% of our users are female.
Right. Yeah. And that's, a wise person has safety precautions on their
Yes.
app. So
Yes.
this is a safe app to use. So, all right, tell folks if they want to do some exploring on BaseCampEd, what needs to happen? How does it work?
Yeah, so after you download the app, and it
Mhm.
truly is for parents just a quick like profile. You don't even have to answer like all of the questions if you don't want, but there are questions so you can connect with moms that have the same values as
Mhm.
you. They're like-minded families. So there's a few questions you answer,
Mhm.
and you do kind of like an age range of your children. So
Mhm.
we kind of go based off of like 3 to 5 and 5 to 8, because no one's going to want to hang out with me and my 4 boys that are 5 and under if you have like 10-year-olds. Like, we're the
Right,
annoying family.
right,
So
right.
you can do it based off of age too, and find
Mhm.
families that share the same age range of your children, same interests.
Mhm.
But then, like you mentioned, Seven Sisters is now on it, so that's a very new feature
Mhm.
that Basecamp Ed is now going to have businesses on there, because some moms are like, I have my community, I don't need to use Basecamp Ed. But I
Mhm.
would love for it to be kind of an all-in-one in the future. It's only been a year, but an all-in-one
Right.
tool for any homeschool mom to be able to go
Yeah,
in, find community and find resources.
absolutely.
So yeah,
Yes.
the business platform's new. So I appreciate you making a profile and like tinkering around, because it's
Yeah.
like brand new. So I'm sorry if you were like hitting glitches too.
Well, it's digital world. We're used
Yeah.
to, figuring out how it works. But really, really, like for homeschool moms who are new to homeschooling and they go like, where do I even start finding other homeschoolers? Basecamp Ed is an app, and it's nice. You can have it right there on your phone and click buttons, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden the folks who are available in that digital area um, are connectable, and
Yeah.
it's
It's like
it's
virtual online dating kind of, but not.
that makes my
But
whole
for
day.
moms.
You're not having to swipe, but yeah, the information is there. And when I was starting out homeschooling before the digital era, if we wanted to find out about homeschooling, we had to go to the library and ask if they knew anything. Like there
Yeah.
just weren't the resources and not a way to find out about it easily. And now it's on an app, Basecamp Ad. So, all right. All right. So, Morgan,
Yeah.
tell folks how to get connected with you, with the podcast, with the Basecamp Ad. So let's do a connect with me.
Yes. So on Basecamp Ed, all you have to do, it's on Android and the App Store. So you would just have to go to Basecamp Ed, and it'll come up and
Mhm.
you download it. And then for the Homeschool Curious podcast, I've only made an Instagram for Basecamp Ed app, but it's all
Okay.
tied together. So I do content about being a homeschool stay-at-home mom. I do content about Basecamp Ed. I do content about the podcast, and it's all in one on Basecamp Ed app. And it's just me. I'm a one-man show still because it's so new. So if you email Basecamp Ed, or if you follow me on Instagram, I am the one responding to all the emails. But my Homeschool Curious podcast is, like we were mentioning, for new moms who maybe are interested in homeschooling and have no idea where to start, I do try to have a lot of working moms that homeschool come on my podcast, and I ask them, like, how do you do it? Because there are moms that want to continue working or have to, and how do you do it if you want to homeschool your kids? So that's a lot of what we talk about on my podcast as well.
Yeah, it's perfect. So in the show notes, we'll have links to everything there, because I know a lot of people will share this with their friends who are thinking about starting homeschooling. Yes, a good thing. So thank you, Morgan, for being here and sharing about Homeschool Curious podcast and BaseCampEd app. And it's going to be a blessing to a lot of folks. So
thank you, Vicki. It was so nice to officially meet you, and I appreciate you having me on.
I'm excited to see new faces. So this has been a Homeschool High School podcast brought to you by 7sistershomeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. Thank you to Seth Tillman for editing, and we will see you next week.